All right, Imhotep, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Hey, this is Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. I am here in Detroit, and it is Wednesday, April 14th, 2020, and it's snowing here in Detroit. It's spring. Spring came on March 20th, March 21st, which was the vernal equinox. That marks the first day of spring. Spring doesn't have anything to do with a groundhog seeing his shadow or not seeing his shadow. But it's about 34 degrees out here in Detroit in spring, and we have snow flurries. What the hell is going on? Let me flip this around so you can see this. Let's see. There's snow flurries here in Detroit. I'm down here in downtown Detroit, man. This is crazy. There's snow flurries. It's spring. It's cold as hell. It feels like winter out here. This makes no sense whatsoever. So how's everybody doing? It's been a crazy week already. It's only Wednesday. It's been a crazy week. And now we're dealing with snow. So I hope you are staying safe. We have over 600,000 cases of coronavirus. About 26,000 deaths across the country. And cold weather helps a virus to spread more. Okay, cold weather helps a virus to spread more. And then also with cold weather, you have people who want to be close to one another to stay warm. That helps a virus to spread more also. Okay, so this is crazy. I'm going to flip this around again, man. We're in Detroit, and it's snowing. It's snow flurries. Now, hopefully there won't be any accumulation. You know, hopefully there won't be any accumulation, things like this. But it's spring. It's not supposed to be snowing. This is, you know, now Michigan has crazy weather. I've been living, I'm 48. I'll be 49 June 7th. And Michigan has crazy weather, but this global warming makes it even worse. All right. So you may hear more about this from me. Follow us here on our Facebook fan page, the African History Network, the African History Network. I'm going to do a broadcast either today or tomorrow. We're going to give an update dealing with coronavirus and the stimulus checks, and people who have direct deposit are getting stimulus checks now. They're starting to, we know Donald Trump, if you're going to get a paper check, it's going to be delayed because Donald Trump wants his signature on the check. He's using it as a campaign tool for people to remind them, for people to remind people, I guess, to associate the check with him, right? And I'm giving you this check. But no, Democrats were the ones who fought for the $1,200 stimulus check. They wanted more. Republicans wanted less. But this whole catastrophe with coronavirus and the way it's handling and all these deaths, this is largely Donald Trump's fault. This was largely avoidable. If you saw my Sunday night show from April 12th, I broke this down. And the huge article from the New York Times that dealt with he should have known or something like that. There's overwhelming evidence that this is Trump's fault. Okay, so I'm going to do another video either late today or tomorrow because I'm about to get on the road, get some work done. I'm about to do a video today or tomorrow dealing with an update on the stimulus checks, how to track your stimulus check. We'll also deal with some other issues dealing with coronavirus, and we'll deal with some other things as well. We'll deal with some updates from the IRS. The IRS has some updates on the stimulus checks, etc. And then also African-American businesses, even though we're having a hard time accessing this $350 billion that's set aside for small businesses. Okay, there's going to be more coming in the fourth stimulus bill. But African-American owned businesses have to tap into this money. Okay, I know it's hard. Some can't do it. If you saw my Sunday night show, I talked about that. But those that do qualify got to get this money because other people are going to get it. White people are getting it. White businesses are getting this money. White small businesses are getting this money. This is a reallocation of taxpayer dollars. Okay. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. So when we look at something like this is a $2.2 trillion bill. There's so much opportunity in it. Okay, a lot of African-American owned businesses are not they don't have their paperwork in order, so they can't take advantage of things like this. Their taxes are not in order. Their what other financial statements, payroll statements, whatever it is, are not in order. So the Black Chamber of Commerce, the Black Chamber of Commerce organizations that we have across the country, their number one goal right now should be focused on helping African American owned businesses get their paperwork in order and apply and get these loans. Because if you follow certain stipulations, the loans become grants and you don't have to pay them back. Okay. The other thing is that there's a video going around, a propaganda video going around. This white guy talking about the $1,200 stimulus check. You have to, it's going to go against your 2021 tax return, your tax refund, things like that. No, it does not. It's non-taxable. It doesn't go against your tax refund at all. I'm going to deal with some evidence dealing with that as well. There's so much propaganda floating around, this whole 5G BS floating around. You know, a lot of conspiracy theorists first said black people couldn't get coronavirus. And then when we're dying from it and disproportionately make up people who are dying, like in Michigan, 40% of the deaths are African American. In Chicago, 70% are African Americans, and African Americans make up about 30% of the U.S. About 30% of the population in Chicago. Okay, now they want to associate it with 5G, which is nonsense. And a lot of this whole fallout from 5G is a Russian propaganda tool that dates back to 2019, and it was pushed by Russia Today, America TV. New York Times had a big article about this, dealing with 5G in Russia. Google that, 5G Russia, New York Times. I posted this article before. So you got a lot of people who try to make themselves relevant by putting all this conspiracy theory BS out here, and people are dying because of misinformation. One of the reasons why African Americans disproportionately make up those who are dying is not just because of poverty. It's not just because of some of us distrusting the medical industry and doctors and things like this, or a larger percentage of us being uninsured. It's because of bad information circulating on social media by people who are irrelevant, trying to prop themselves up and stay relevant. And it also goes for the people who are downplaying the severity of coronavirus early on. Okay? A month or two ago, they were talking about Jada Pinkett Smith and Kobe and Shaq, Kobe and Snoop Dogg and Gail and Oprah, all this BS. Then they start talking about coronavirus, downplaying the severity of it. And that's dangerous. This is serious out here. Okay? And even if you don't die from it, I have friends whose family members have passed away. People I went to high school with. One of my friends, Ahati Kalindi E., one of my teachers, Grandmaster of African Martial Arts, he just passed away last week from it. But even if you don't die from it, if you are in the hospital, if you're on a ventilator, that costs money. Even if you have health insurance, that costs money. It's traumatic for your family because of the lack of PPE, personal protective equipment, that hospitals are going through. Family members cannot come and visit you when you are in the hospital. If you have coronavirus, they can't come visit you because everybody is going to have to wear personal protective equipment. That takes away the PPE that the doctors need. There's already a shortage of it. So you have people who are in the hospital on ventilators, in the hospital in intensive care units, and their family members can't come visit them. This is serious. And you got irrelevant people putting this nonsense out here on social media. So even if you don't die from it, it's still traumatic to the families. It still is a financial drain on you and your family. Okay, even if you don't die from it. So we have to be more selective where we get our information from. Some of this is just BS. Some of these people are just pimping our people. Okay. But I'll do a broadcast later. Damn, it's coming down. The snow's coming down even more. Look at this. It's getting even heavier. The snowflakes are getting larger. Damn, this is in Detroit. It's cold out here too. I have my gloves. You see, I have my scarf on. This is crazy. We see the sun's trying to come out. The sun will come out tomorrow. Tomorrow there'll be sun. Hopefully the sun will come out today. Man, this is crazy. This is in Detroit. Oh my God. All right. So everybody stay safe. We got to do we have to really understand coronavirus, SARS-CoV-2. Severe acute respiratory syndrome. That's what it is, SARS-CoV-2, and it causes COVID-19. Okay, and I've been studying this since January. Okay, while a lot of people talking about a whole lot of superfluous nonsense, this is what I was studying in January. I was dealing with that and the impeachment trial of Donald Trump. Okay, all right. So I need to put my gloves on because my fingers are getting numb. It's about 34 degrees out here. It's probably, I think, maybe drop down to 32. About 10 a.m. it was about 34 degrees. So it's cold out here. All right. Okay, so we got that coming up. Follow me on my Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. Follow me on my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. If you like this type of information, you can support us. You can donate to the African History Network. $ the AHN Show. $ the AHN Show stands for African History Network through Cash App. $ the AHN Show through Cash App. Then PayPal.me/the AHN Show through PayPal. PayPal.me/the AHN Show. Then also at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Click on the yellow donate button, and you can donate there. Let me switch hands. Hold on, how do I do this? I don't have my tripod with me. I'm outside, and my fingers are getting numb. Hold on. Okay. Yeah, at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. All of my DVD lectures are there also. Also, we know that, just give me a minute here. Let me put my glove on, other glove. Okay, also we know that President Barack Obama came out and endorsed Joe Biden. Okay, we all knew that was going to happen. I said before, if you've been watching my broadcast, I said before, whoever gets the nomination, Democratic nomination, that's who I'm voting for. If it was Bernie Sanders, I'd vote for Bernie. Bernie's a good guy. I like Bernie. I disagree with him on something, but Bernie's a nice guy. If Joe Biden gets it, I'll go with Joe Biden. Because Trump, this fool, and I'm trying hard not to cuss, because I warned our people about Trump in 2016. And there were a lot of people out here putting this BS out on social media, okay, that were lying to our people. Donald Trump is death. Donald Trump is death. He's a traitor. He's violating his oath of office to defend the U.S. Constitution against enemies, both foreign and domestic. He is a clear and present danger, and he is death. Okay? And all you have to do is study this coronavirus and his incompetence in handling the coronavirus crisis, and you see he is death. Okay? So, and he has blood on his hands. Okay? He takes no responsibility for anything, and then tries to take the only thing he tries to claim responsibility for are things that he didn't do. Like he tries to claim responsibility for the economy before it collapsed. Well, there were 113 consecutive months of private sector job growth. 113 consecutive months of private sector job growth. That just ended in the last week or two when the March numbers came out, the unemployment numbers, and 701,000 jobs were lost by the economy in the month of March. The 113 consecutive months of private sector job growth, that goes back to 2010. Who was president in 2010? That started under President Barack Obama. It ended with this unstable genius who is death. So one thing I'm going to do is probably be Thursday. If we look back at, I think it was March 3rd, when Super Tuesday happened. I think it was March 3rd, March 10th. March 10th, because the primary happened in Michigan. I did a broadcast dealing with, one, that I voted, and two, there was an Asian American standing behind me voting. So the people who saying Asians don't vote are lying, because I went through and broke that whole thing down. And as Asian Americans went from 4% to 5% of the U.S. population, they went from 3.5% to 5% of the voting electorate, and more Asians are voting, and they're being targeted by politicians. I went through that, broke that history down. Go watch that. It's on YouTube and Facebook. Because a lot of these people out here putting these lies out and not explaining it to our people. And then our people sit up here and say stupid things like, oh, we should be like the Asians and don't vote. When you talk about Asian Americans, you're talking about people who largely come from 20 different countries. They speak different languages, have different cultures, have different histories. And many of them came from countries where they could not vote because they came from dictatorships. They came from countries that the countries don't have a history of people voting. You can't compare that to African Americans, who are a more homogenous group, who largely speak one language, one primary language, English. We have a much more common history. In 1900, in the Great Migration that started in 1915 and 1970, 6 million African Americans migrate from the South up north and out west. In 1900, 90% of African Americans lived in the South as a legacy of slavery, 246 years of slavery, decades of Jim Crow segregation, etc. So we have a much more common history. We speak one common language. You have a more common culture when we talk about African Americans. You can't compare that to Asian Americans. That's ridiculous. People who are saying things like this haven't done the research and don't understand history, especially African American history. If you did, you wouldn't say something stupid like that. But go watch that broadcast. But the second thing I did in that was I broke down the policies of Joe Biden and the policies of Bernie Sanders. Their policies on the campaign website, what they're proposing. And I dealt with the black agenda. I dealt with how their policies would help and impact African Americans, okay? And there was a policy matrix that the Root.com created. Michael Harriot wrote the article. He didn't create the policy matrix. What they did was they got policy experts, they got attorneys, they got historians. They brought together this panel to create a policy matrix, a 10-point policy matrix, to evaluate the Democratic candidates' policies by, and to see whose policies would best help African Americans. It's the first time I've seen a publication do something like this. It's very scientific. So then I went through and I broke down their policies and how they would impact African Americans. I'm going to do that again now that Bernie Sanders has endorsed Joe Biden, now that Senator Elizabeth Warren has endorsed Joe Biden, now that President Barack Obama has endorsed Joe Biden. We're going to deal with that in the black agenda, and then I'm also going to talk about 6 principles of political self-defense, understanding how laws and policies impact the economic conditions of African Americans. I guess I should get in the car right now. We'll deal with 6 principles of political self-defense, understanding how laws and policies impact the economic conditions of African Americans. And political self-defense is a whole term that I've coined. As a lecture series I have, and I go break this down and tie this into law and history, because we don't understand law, don't understand history. And policies will impact African Americans either positively or negatively, regardless of whether they say black or African American. This is something that we don't understand. I've been involved in writing public policy here in the city of Detroit. So my understanding of law and things like this is much different than other people. I'm not just a historian. I've been involved in politics as well, and I've also managed companies where we had contracts with the city of Detroit, the county of Wayne, and the state of Michigan. So my engagement in government is different than a lot of people who are just dealing with textbook and theory, things like that. No, what I'm talking about comes from real life practical experience, actually doing it. Not reading about it, not what I saw in documentaries, even though I'm in 7 documentaries. No, it's about actually doing it. You know, like LL Cool J said, doing it well. It comes from actually doing it, being out in the streets, actually doing it. Okay, so I'm going to do that broadcast probably next day or so. And we're going to go, and Joe Biden has adopted policies, because he's been talking to Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders. So he has incorporated some of their policies, student loan forgiveness up to $100,000 in student loan, things like this. And I'm going to go through step by step and show you how all these policies will impact African Americans and be beneficial for African Americans. Okay, even though the policy may not say black or African American, we don't understand this. Okay, so we'll deal with that. All right. So how's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your Facebook page. And this is serious. This election right here, all the people said don't matter who you vote for, they're a damn lie. They're a damn lie. They have no understanding of politics. Politics is the legal distribution of scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. And we see that there's been almost 200 policies from President Obama that Trump has reversed. This is devastating for African Americans. Right now, Donald Trump's Department of Justice is in court trying to repeal the entire Affordable Health Care Act, which they're trying to kick 20 million people off of health care, 20 plus million. The Affordable Health Care Act gave health care to 3 million non-elderly African Americans who did not already have health care. 3 million non-elderly African Americans who did not already have health care. Today, there are less people who have health insurance than when President Barack Obama left office. That's because of the attack from Republicans and Donald Trump on the Affordable Health Care Act. There are less African Americans today who have health insurance. This is impacting our lives. Okay, I'm all for economic empowerment and investing in the stock market. Hopefully you don't lose money in the stock market, because the first quarter of this year, the stock market had its worst quarter in decades because of Donald Trump, the unstable genius. I'm all for that. I've been preaching economic empowerment, studying that for years. My degree's in business administration, but I also understand politics and law also. And you have to have a synthesis of it. All of it connects. Government regulates business. Government creates the environment that business operates within. So right here in the state of Michigan and in other states, because of governors' executive orders, not because of Donald Trump, who thinks he has total power. No, he does not. He's not a king. He doesn't understand the 10th Amendment and the state and states' rights. That's the 10th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution that Donald Trump has not read. Okay? Because of executive orders from governors like Governor Gretchen Whitmer here in the state of Michigan, you have businesses deemed non-essential that are shut down. And if they open back up, they're going to be fine. This is government regulating your business. This is government regulating for businesses and restaurants how many people they can have in the lobby at one time. A lot of them no more than 5. This is government regulating what types of products you can sell and what types of products you can't sell during this coronavirus. This is government regulating business. So government impacts business. Government creates the environment that businesses operate within. This is what a lot of people don't understand. They just talk about economic empowerment. No, it's economics and it's politics and it's law. But the foundation is African history and culture, which gives us our foundation, which gives us our values, our interests, and our principles, and influences our economic empowerment, how we gauge in economics, and influences our political empowerment, how we gauge in politics. All right, so look out for that from the African History Network and Michael Imhotep. Follow us on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network. Follow me on my YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep. Listen to the African History Network show Sundays, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on 10 a.m. the Superstation WFDF. Because of coronavirus and businesses being shut down and precautions being taken, for 10 a.m. the Superstation, they have us broadcasting from home. And this is the stay-in order. Governor Gretchen Whitmer has a stay-in order. There are about 43 states that have stay-in orders. Republicans are slow to the game. And you're going to see coronavirus spreading through Republican states that have Republican governors who have not taken proper action. And you're going to see this spread through, and it's going to kill a whole lot of people. This is how elections have consequences, people. This is how elections have consequences. This is what happens when we listen to Simple Simon-ass people who tell us don't vote. That's dumb as hell. That's dumb as hell. All right. Let's look at the snow one more time. This is your official weather report from Detroit. It's snowing. God damn. This is spring. This is April 14th, Wednesday, and it's snowing. Let's see, this is April 15th, because Sunday was 12th. Sorry, April 15th. Yes, it is Wednesday, April 15th, and it's snowing here in Detroit. I'll be damned. All right, Wednesday, April 15th. My days all screwed up. I've been busy working. My days all screwed up. I've been doing research as usual. So look out for that from Michael Imhotep, founder of the African History Network, host of the African History Network show. All right, sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. And also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Okay, so this is that type of information I deal with. A lot of this he said, she said, a lot of this other stuff you see I don't even deal with. I don't have time for that. I do research. I'm a historian, researcher, lecturer, writer. A lot of this other superfluous nonsense I don't even have time to deal with, okay? All right, guys, look, we got to get out of here. It's cold outside. I got to get in the car, get to work. And there's opportunities out here also, you know. There's opportunities out here also. Anytime you have a shift in what people are spending on, people are buying food, people are buying gasoline, people are buying toilet paper, people are buying what else are people buying right now? Masks, surgical masks. I got some masks in my car. I just don't have them on because I'm broadcasting right now. I got some masks also. There's opportunities out here as well. People doing food delivery like DoorDash and Black and Mobile and Uber Eats, all types of stuff like that, because people are buying food. As these stimulus checks are hitting, people are going to be ordering food also, buying food. Instacart, ordering through Instacart, groceries. There's some opportunities out here also. You have to take some precautions, but there are opportunities as well. But this $2.2 trillion stimulus bill, and there's going to be another one. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are already talking about it. Little weasel Moscow Mitch McConnell tried to push through $250 billion last week through the Senate, okay? There's going to be another one. We got to make sure we take advantage of this. This is a reallocation of taxpayer dollars. White people are taking advantage of this money. And this is why, you know, you had a lot of people talking about, oh, baby daddies aren't going to get $1,200 stimulus check if they owe back child support. Well, depends upon how much they owe back child support. But they can also apply for unemployment insurance and get an additional $600 a week for up to 4 months through this stimulus bill. 600 times 2 is 1,200. 600 times 2 is 1,200. That's part of the $2.2 trillion stimulus bill, an additional $600 a week from the federal government. Okay, now I know people are having problems applying for unemployment, just like here in the state of Michigan, because the website keeps crashing. But once you can do it, once again, there's a lot of opportunities. Try to apply after 8 p.m., 9 p.m., after 10 p.m. at night. For some people, that seems to be working better, applying at midnight, things like this. But it's crazy out here. But this, once again, this was largely avoidable. Donald Trump ignored warnings from the intelligence community, from scientists. We see going back to November 2019, Donald Trump ignored warnings. This is how elections have consequences. This is what happens when you have somebody who's not competent, who does not take responsibility for mistakes, who has declared war on scientists for the last 3 years. This is what happens when you have somebody like this in charge of 330 million people. Okay? And with African Americans being more vulnerable, we should have been perceiving and understanding how dangerous Trump was during the election. This is what I was explaining to people in 2016 before the election. For months, I was warning our people how dangerous this fool was. People didn't want to listen. They thought just doing economic empowerment, investing in the stock market was going to help. No, it's not. A lot of those businesses are shut down now. A lot of those black-owned businesses are shut down. And I saw an article from MarketWatch.com, because I'm on to about 35 different news sources on a daily basis. This article came out in early April before, or early March, either April or March, before the stimulus bill came out, before the $350 billion for small businesses came out. But it estimated that 43% of small businesses are not going to survive this coronavirus attack on the economy. It's estimated that 43% of small businesses are not going to survive. Last week here in the state of Michigan, I heard a statistic that it's estimated that 1/3 of restaurants in the state of Michigan won't survive. Okay? They're largely talking about white restaurants. If 1/3 of largely white restaurants are not going to survive, what do you think is going to happen to African American restaurants? This is politics impacting the economy, which is destroying African American owned businesses and impacting our lives. Okay? Elections have consequences. We don't understand this. This is why with political self-defense, it ain't just talking about a black agenda. It's also understanding who has an anti-black agenda and understanding how to protect yourself, how to protect gains that were made, how to perceive threats and perceive people who are trying to take away what you have, and how to perceive those whose policies will do you the most harm. This is understanding political self-defense. This is a whole concept that I have. So I'll break that down as well, okay? So everybody share this broadcast on your Facebook fan page. You ain't going to hear this type of information from other people. A lot of other people, you're not going to hear this type of relationship. They'll do what's sexy and do what's in the headlines to get the views and the likes and things like that. No. See, our motto is right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. Right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. At the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right knowledge corrects wrong behavior. This is what I've been doing for 28 years, but specifically 10 years with the African History Network. So look, I got to get out of here. Remember, We focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it's correction wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. Imhotep. And we'll talk to you next time. Peace. All right, everybody. Share this broadcast. Follow us on social media.